Good morning and welcome to Moments with Melinda. I am your host, Melinda Moulton. And today I am so delighted to have as my guest Peter Edelmann. How are you, my friend?
Good morning, Melinda. I am well, thank you. Thank you. How are you?
I'm great. I'm great considering I'm doing okay. And I've been trying to wrangle you for my TV show for quite a while, and I so appreciate you taking
Uh,
time with me and with my viewers. But let them know who you are because you're quite
okay.
extraordinary. Peter,
Ah!
you are. Peter
Uh,
Edelmann is a visionary. He's a serial entrepreneur, a redeveloper, and a transformational wizard who is best known for his creation of the Vermont Experience in Essex, Vermont. He is also the founder and partner of EB Development LLC. Is there anything else I missed?
oh, I guess I'm a happy husband and father.
You are a beautiful husband, married to the most extraordinary woman, and your children are divine. So
Yeah.
I'm adding that to the bio, folks.
Okay.
So let's start at the beginning. Tell my viewers, where were you born, and tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up, Peter.
Um, sure. So I was born in a small town, Rinteln, Rinteln, in what at the time was West Germany. And my parents, after winning a small lottery in Germany and having gone through the war, losing everything, trying to rebuild, felt that this was a sign they had to make a move, and they made a choice between moving to South Africa and moving to the United States. And my mom went out, and we wound up immigrating to the United States. Um, Having really no money, and my parents came over a year ahead of us on the boat. And I and my brother followed with my grandfather about a year later, also on the boat. And so I guess I'm a boat child,
Incredible.
and came over at my first memories coming over at the age of 3.5, and really not speaking a word of English.
Whoa. Peter, your screen is jiggling a little bit. Are you moving in your chair?
I might be nervous.
Well,
Yeah, no,
well,
no, no, no. Is that better?
yeah, it's just sort of jiggling. I don't know what's jiggling, if it's the table or the computer, or maybe you're just a jiggly kind of guy.
I'm not a gigolo,
No.
but
Well, that's good to know. Uh,
yeah.
yeah, just try to steady yourself, my friend. Steady yourself. Because you are sort of jiggling around there. So you were three when you got here. Where did they land?
We landed in Philadelphia. And,
Philadelphia.
yeah, Philadelphia Harbor, and again, that's really it was a very impactful trip, and it I think that therefore I created the memories which I still have of that trip.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And then what did your parents do once they landed? Are you on a phone, by the way? Maybe that's why you're jiggling.
Yeah, I am on a phone. Let me see if I can
See if
just
you
put
can
my
just
phone
steady it up.
down. Let me see if I can
Something.
put it down. That might be better. How
Huh, we can skip.
about that? Does that
Yeah.
work better?
Well, talk for a minute. Talk.
Okay. Does that work?
That's much better.
Okay. No more
Thank you,
jiggling.
darling.
Very
That's
good.
so much better. Okay.
Of
So,
course.
so this is
So
fascinating.
so yeah. I mean, so my parents came over, and they had very little skills for at the time for the United States, and they had a sponsor, which is how you came over in the early 50s, who had a sewing machine factory, and they both went on the floor basically oiling sewing machines
Both your parents took a job oiling sewing machines in a factory.
in a factory in a small town in Sarah, Pennsylvania, called the Blue Swan Factory, and the sponsor appreciated my parents for what they were and their initiative. And my dad had a very good math brain, and within a few years was running the accounting for the company. He learned through a correspondence school to do accounting for U.S. standards, and he worked his way up from there.
That's fantastic. Did your
Yeah.
parents stay in that in Pennsylvania?
They stayed there for a few years, and then my father met somebody in Elmira, New York, which is where I grew up. And there are a fair amount of ties, Elmira and Burlington, surprisingly, and even some old ties to Basin Harbor Club. So we moved to Elmira, New York, and my dad started with a real estate company, and became president of that company and developed, at the time, one of the first enclosed malls in the United States.
Wow. You know, my family emigrated from Germany to Pennsylvania.
Oh,
A lot,
really?
yeah, yeah, a lot of
Wow.
Germans did, fled and came to settled in
Yeah.
Pennsylvania. So you
Yeah.
ended up in Elmira. Your father then proceeded to have his own real estate company and do redevelopment just like you. Did you used to go with your father to the office? Is that how you sort of got the bug to
No, but I did used to.
do it?
We have this industry group called ICSC, International Shopping Center Convention, and I would go to those conventions with him as a young man, young boy, and really bring along my tennis rackets so I could play a lot of tennis in fun places, which at the time was always at the Fountainbleau in Miami Beach.
God, I love it.
Yeah, it was great.
So are your parents still alive?
No, they both have passed. Yeah,
Yes. Okay.
yeah, and they had a great life. They
I'm
had a
sorry
good
about
life.
that. Yeah, we always miss our parents, but we're at the age where it's hard to keep our parents alive. So
Absolutely.
it's hard to keep ourselves alive, actually. But so Peter, how long have
Yeah.
you been involved? How long, what brought you to Vermont?
I came to Vermont during the college, and I had a girlfriend that lived up in Stowe, and I visited her and fell in love with, and this is in the early 70s, fell in love with the scenery and the people. And then through a convoluted way, I was running a company outside of Zurich, Switzerland, a US company. Um, and one of the friends of mine in a tennis club, which is how I got into Swiss society, which is difficult society to break into for Americans, um, was a American investor running Citicorp offices out of Zurich, Switzerland, and he was involved in, at the time, and this is going back to 1988, the Inn at Essex, which was being built. And the Inn at Essex in 1989 opened up and had a lot of trouble. And so he asked me, he said, "Look, you're in real estate, and um, I've got an investment in Vermont. Would you be interested in taking a look and giving me your opinion of it?" Which I said, "Sure, where is it?" And he said, "Well, it's in the Burlington region." I said, "Absolutely." So I flew over, and that was in September of '89 when the Inn at Essex opened up. Um, and I came back and looked at what the project was, and it was owned, or was being developed by Hawk Mountain Resorts. Hawk Mountain was also a developer, and they were in trouble. And so I looked at all of that, and I came back and spoke to my friend, and who became a partner, and said that I felt that the inn was something very interesting. We should pursue it if he wanted to, and that over a multi-year period led to creating a partnership to take over the inn, which was a troubled property at the time.
So
So
so is that when was that? Early 1990s?
that was '89 when I came over, and it was in '91 when we had basically a deal lined up with the FDIC, who had taken over one of the major lender, um, who had done some malfeasance, and we had a deal to acquire it in '91,
Mhm.
and then the bank was taken over by the FDIC, and so there was a black hole for a period of almost 2 years. In late '92, I was contacted by them, and they had me on file as being an interested party to the debt. And I said, "Well, yes, I do remember it, but the price we were talking about was no longer on the table." And like a lot of real estate at that time, and over different eras in the U.S. when the government takes over, opportunities are developed, and we were able to negotiate a deal to acquire the debt and then become the major owner of the Inn at Essex at that time.
So cool. So when you say you came over from Switzerland, right?
Correct.
Because you
Yeah.
were working in
Yeah.
Switzerland. Um, how did that feel?
So I was at the time actually I was running the company in Switch outside of Zurich, and I also had a development in Temecula, California.
Okay.
So I was going between California and then Switzerland for about 3 years, and then added Vermont onto that
Wow.
travel time. Yeah, great
So,
times, great times.
so, what is the drive? Because you are a very high energy guy. And you have a lot of, you've done a lot of great stuff since the 1990s here in Vermont. What's the driving force and what keeps you excited about the work that you do?
That's a great question. I love the opportunity to be creative and to meet really interesting and creative people, and I've been able to put the two together.
So in,
That
so in, so you say that you also say that what drives you is music and art. So where does that passion come from?
I've always loved music. Uh, I've appreciated art. I'm not an artist. I'm not a musician, so I do it from a distance. But um, I realized, and just seeing what happens around the country when you have a inner city area that has been decayed. The two components that really bring it back are art and music. And if you can create a core of art and music, then you have really the kernels for I think for success and rebirth.
And certainly you did do a rebirth. It's a redevelopment, a revitalization project, a reinvestment project. So if you were to describe the Essex experience to someone who did not live here in Vermont or did not know what the experience was, how would you describe the experience and what people would find there and some of the businesses that
Yeah.
are so wonderful?
Well, I when I looked at redeveloping, because I owned the property, and which at the time when I acquired it again in '94, it was a small strip center, and I developed that into an outlet center. And at the time, and for about 15, 20 years, that was a very good use of the property. Uh, the dynamics of outlet centers changed dramatically over time with the internet and with the really the development of that industry. And I became an expert in that industry around the country. And I saw that the life for something of the scale of what we had here in Essex couldn't be survived for a long time. So I felt I needed to make a change, and I really renamed ourselves, feeling that experiences are what people are looking for, and experiences are something that can be enjoyed and shared. So I renamed at the time, and this is in 2018, I renamed the center the Essex Experience, and that word was starting to get a lot of play around the country. Experience, and everybody is looking at experiences. So I felt that if I could bring in unique people who had a passion for what they do, and that they were, at least in my opinion, knowledgeable in what they do, um, putting that together, putting several of them together, could be the core of creating something that felt I've always wanted to do, but it wasn't financially feasible. There hadn't been enough interest, I think, from people to make it a viable project to be working with developing concepts. But I took the chance and was fortunate enough to really to meet some fantastic partners here. And the majority of them did not have financial support to be able to make it work. And I felt that if I could structure something to get there, and I had an end goal, and it was um, really a 2-year project to get to the point where I could put enough together to make the project viable. Um, I could be successful, even though the first couple of years I knew I wouldn't be financially in a very good position. And that seemed to make a lot of sense, and it was really starting to work. And then, of course, 2020, the year of seeing clearly, COVID came and everything got upended.
But
So that
but I'm going to step back for a second.
okay.
Just for my viewers, it was called the Essex Outlets, wasn't it?
The Essex Outlet Fair, the Essex Outlets, yes.
So
Yeah.
for all
For
my
for
viewers who remember the outlet stores in Essex, this is the area that we're talking about that Peter's redeveloped and that he's owned since the early 1990s. And some of the businesses there that are so extraordinary are like John Churchman's project. Talk a little bit about some of the business, Uncommon Grounds.
oh,
On
fantastic. Yeah.
track. I mean, a lot of them. I mean, on track is actually my son is married to his sister, to Brian's sister, but and John Churchman is an old friend. But talk a little bit about now when people go there. For the folks who have not been there, I absolutely encourage you to go there and experience it because it's an experience, and you'll love it.
Thank
You'll
you.
love everything about it. But talk a little bit about the businesses that are there, Peter.
Well, it's I believe it's unique, and it might even be unique in the country where we have 24 businesses that are independently owned. Um, 17 of them, and it not by design, by happenstance, are female owned or BIPOC owned. Um, and I believe in people. If they have a good concept and they have the passion, um, I think it's going to succeed. So, John Churchman has been a friend for a long time, and over 20 years ago, and again, we met through tennis. Um, we were talking about, wouldn't it be interesting to bring together artists and do something in this property that he was not a part of at the time, and really showcase Vermont. That idea never went away, and when John and I got together in 2018 again and started looking at it, when the outlets were falling out, and I had the opportunity to replace them, and also the need to replace them. Um, John and I came up with a concept of about 4,000 square feet to do an art gallery. And I structured it where and the issue with starting a new business oftentimes is you've got a set lease rate, that you have to pay the rent every month. And so I structured deals that um, incorporated a lot of percentage rent. So if the tenant didn't do that well, they wouldn't have to pay that much rent. And if they did well, then they would have to pay rent that eventually and hopefully would be more than market rent. But it allows the owner to build up to that point and not have to face a payment that they might not be able to make.
And did you support the fit up too of these?
I would support the fit up for everybody. And then I invested in 9 of the concepts who didn't have the equity or the capital to start. So I would invest in them as well. And as I say, John, I started in 4,000 square feet, and then the neighboring store also closed, and we expanded to 7,000 feet. And then the neighboring store, Brooks Brothers, also went into bankruptcy. And I said, John, what do you think? He goes, sure. So we expanded the Art Hound Gallery, which, as you say, is fantastic. It just is fantastic. It has
He has over 400 artists.
over
So
over 400 artists.
yeah.
Yeah.
So to my
And
viewers, you go on out there to the Essex Experience and, grab yourself a cup of cocoa at the Uncommon Grounds, and check out John Churchman's Art Hound. Um, and we're gonna get into some of the other businesses too there, but I want to move for just a quick second to EB Development. You are a partner in that, and it does consulting services for groups who want to create outlet developments, right?
It, it, that was the genesis thereof. And at the time, there were major developers around the country, like Federated Realty, who did the Assembly Row project in Boston. We had uh, a project in Long Beach that we redeveloped. And all of these developers realized that the outlet industry was a niche industry, and the smart ones brought in consultants to really help with the concept creation, also the leasing thereof. And EB at one time was the largest third-party consulting company in the industry in the country. I've got one partner there, and I still do. And
Are you still doing consulting?
we are down to our last project, which is a fantastic project, and um, it's been a relationship for over 15 years now, and it's south of Bakersfield, California, and it's a partnership between the Rockefeller Group and Tahoe Ranch Corp. And Tahoe Ranch is the largest non-government piece of property in California. It's where the American Condor came back, and they are developing about 10% of their property into a variety of uses, and retaining 90% to keep it natural. So
So
it's a great project. It's great people. We're currently working on that because the Hard Rock Cafe is coming in and building a casino and an event center and a performance center and a hotel. And so,
fascinating.
yeah, it's
That's so cool. Well, now back to Essex, because we're running out of time here. I
okay.
want to know, you just recently created a center, a beautiful building. They just had the Italian club was there. I went to that event for weddings, events, dinners, community functions. You just completed that project at the
We
Essex.
did
Yep. So
that at the Essex Resort, and that was completed last June. And the Essex Resort, which was originally the Inn at Essex, is another cornerstone of what we're doing here. And we are now creating packages and experiences with the resort that people can come to Vermont, which, I strongly believe that Vermont, one of the survival components we have is our tourism. And so to give people an opportunity to come to Vermont and experience some of our best people, and be it in cannabis, be it in beer or cider or art or coffee, we have all that here.
so are you planning to create any housing?
I have plans to create housing. I've got support from the town of Essex, but it's as no secret, the costs have exceeded the realities of making it work. So we are working with the town and the state on helping to create vehicles that would support the development of housing.
We look forward to that. And I understand you were also considering doing perhaps an entertainment center at the experience.
I am. I mean, I've got the movie theater there that we developed, or I developed, and didn't know anything about movies, but we started in 2001, and then we expanded that in 2008 and added the T-Rex component, which is our large screen format. And I was looking at making an entertainment center within that building, and ultimately that's too disruptive and too expensive. So I'm looking at another parcel on developing something for entertainment concept. Yes.
And you were looking at even a bowling alley and an arcade and game rooms too, as well out there,
Ab-
right?
Absolutely. Yeah, that's part of the
So
concept.
I would venture that your business philosophy is really sort of a socially responsible business practices where you support your tenants. I'm sure during COVID you supported them to keep them going, and I would assume that that's sort of your mission is a socially responsible, environmentally caring, and planet, people, and profit. Would you agree with that?
I would agree with that. And profit is important, and it can't be put aside, because without profitability, then you can't continue. The environmental component, we are a solar powered center. I believe the Essex Cinema is the only cinema in the United States that is powered by solar, and
Fab-
we're expanding that as well.
My viewers, I also want to say that you have a spa, and I did not know this, and I've been out there, and you have a beautiful, beautiful spa. And I'm going to be there on May 18th to enjoy your spa. It's very affordable. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's gobsmacking beautiful. So to my
Oh,
viewers,
thank you, Melinda.
for a spa that's close to home, it's really extraordinary. Go check it out. Your movie theater, the T, I'm giving you, I'm actually your PR person, right? The T-Rex theater, I've got to tell you, the Rocks have
Yeah,
been shut down. I'm so disappointed. But if you want to go to see a movie, go to the T-Rex, and I'll tell you why. Because you can reserve seats. So you go on, you buy your ticket, you pick your seats, and when you walk in, there's not a huge crowd standing in line. I mean, that's extraordinary. And you have movies for people with sensory issues, like my
we
grandson
do.
is autistic. You have films, and I believe that you show other, like operas and things like that. So check out the T-Rex. Now, I want to move on to your wife, Jessica, who is an attorney and trains horses, and her role in helping you over the past 30 years, and also the fact that your children also are involved in your business. Talk to us a little bit about that.
But just as any parent, one of our dreams is to always have your children appreciate what you're doing and have some type of continuing role in what you're doing. And you never know how it's going to come, but our daughter graduated from UVM, and she became a bartender and at Black Flannel, loved doing that. Realized it was time to move on and tried a corporate job, and it wasn't quite right for her. And then she joined us in the spa and did a great job there. And that has now led to her becoming an event manager. And really, through that, you understand all facets of running a hospitality unit. Our son is going on to college, and he's going to be focusing in finance and also life skills, which is extremely important. So we're hoping that he's going to come back here as well.
Well,
Yeah.
he must. He really must. I mean, we need our young people, and I love the whole family affair thing. It's fab, and you feel it when you're there. You feel that this is family owned and that you're part of a family when you.
We've done a lot of change in our resort and our staffing and our directors, and we really have the core, and it's growing of an amazing staff that really cares about what they do and wants to do the best that they can do.
And the food is fantastic, by the way. I
The
mean,
food is fantastic. Oh, yeah, it was a Necky campus. And so we have a lot of history we probably don't have time to get into. I do want to go back. Just none of this would be possible without having a brilliant partner who is also an empath and is able to really help navigate all of the different roads that you go up and down when you go through
that's
any
Jessica.
kind of development. That's my wife,
That's
Jessica.
a
Yeah.
beautiful wife. Yeah, she's an extraordinary woman. So, Peter, what's your view of the future of our country, and how do you cope during these challenging times?
My view of the country, we have an amazing country. We have we have so much opportunity, and it's opportunity for people who live here. It's opportunity for immigrants. Being an immigrant, I've seen it. Um, Obviously, things got out of hand, in my opinion, in this country, and they went too far in one direction. And there's always a need for change and for adaptation because so much has changed socially with the advent of the internet and the dissemination of information. So change was needed. I'm obviously very concerned in how that change was brought in, and I think that's the big dilemma that we're facing. But I continue. I'm an optimist, and I know we have amazing people, we have amazing resources, and I'm very optimistic for the future of our country
Thank you
with
so
good
much.
leadership.
Well, yeah, with good leadership, and you are living in Vermont. So, what words of wisdom do you give your children and other youths as they face the scary times ahead of climate change, authoritarianism, inequality, and the attack on our democracy? What do you tell your children? What are your words of wisdom for our youth?
Boy, there's so much there. Have hope,
Oh,
believe,
yeah.
believe, believe in the future, believe in yourself. Um, if we don't do that, then we are going to self-destruct. We have to find better ways.
You're here.
And yeah.
Well, you're delightful.
Oh, Melinda, thank you.
Charming,
You
you've
are
done
too.
so much. I mean, really, what you have done to transform that part of our state is phenomenal. I mean, really, Peter, I don't know where you get your energy, and but to my viewers, please Google Peter Edelmann and read more about him. Get out there to the Essex Experience, visit the shops, go to a movie. By the way, we didn't even talk about your music venue.
I was going to see,
I
come
mean,
see a concert. We
come
have a
see a
great,
concert, and the
yeah.
prices are really reasonable. I mean, it's really hard to go to concerts these days because they're so expensive, but you guys, you keep the prices down so people can go. And I really want to thank you for that. So, what's on for the rest of your day, my friend?
The rest of my day, I've got a meeting on some expansion of solar that we're doing. That's in the afternoon. I have a lot of financial things I have to work through, and then I get to have a tennis match late in the day, and then go home and watch the sunset.
I
It's
love
going to
it.
be a great day.
What a delight to know you and to have you as my friend. And thank you so much for joining me today.
Uh,
It's been great to really dig into your life and get to know you better. So thank you for your time.
Melinda, thank you. I appreciate your thinking what I do is relevant, and
Oh, I think more than
I
me, I
really
think
appreciate
a
it.
lot of people who know what you've done for the state of Vermont. And to my viewers, I want to wish you a beautiful spring day. It's the 1st of May. Get out there and frolic, and I will see you shortly. Take care and be well. Thank you
Very
for
good.
joining us today. Bye bye.